What's up, guys? It's your boy PSGINT here, and today we will review the history between these two great, huge clubs in Real Madrid and Paris Saint-Germain. So let's get straight into this. First of all, the head-to-head between the two clubs. Real Madrid have 4 wins, Paris Saint-Germain 2 draws. Two draws between the two clubs and 2 wins for Paris Saint-Germain. Um, let's get into all the games played. So the first game was in 1993 in the UEFA Cup. Real Madrid took a 3-1 lead against Paris Saint-Germain, but Paris Saint-Germain made an incredible comeback at the Parc with Wea and Ginola becoming Paris Saint-Germain heroes that day, saving Paris Saint-Germain even though they did go out against Juventus in the next knockout stage. But it was still a huge accomplishment for Paris Saint-Germain to beat a side like Real Madrid in that way they did. It was like a remontada of that time for Paris Saint-Germain and the supporters. But moving on to 2017, and Paris Saint-Germain came in the same group as Real Madrid in the Champions League. The first game was a dull 0-0 between the two sides, Cavani having one chance for Paris Saint-Germain and Cristiano Ronaldo having the big chance for Real Madrid, but none of them converting their chance. Game goes 0-0. Both teams were now level on 7 points in the group, and that was all to change in the next game between the two clubs at the Santiago Bernabeu. So it was a very intense game, a lot of chances for both clubs, especially by PSG. So the first goal and the only goal of the game came from Nacho Fernandez after a huge mistake from Kevin Trapp, not being able to see that the ball will still be in play when it touches the ground. Nacho with an easy finish into an empty goal, 1-0 Real Madrid, and after that goal, it was only PSG mostly. Angel Di Maria, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Cavani, chance after chance. Zlatan coming very close from a long shot and then a free kick. Cavani missing a sitter, with him getting a 1v1 against Keylor Navas, not knowing if he's going to finish with power or lob the keeper. Ends up making a bad lob, and Varane catches up to the ball and takes it out. And in the last minute of the game, Angel Di Maria steps up to take the free kick, hits the crossbar. Game ends 1-0 Real Madrid, and they went on to top the group and win the Champions League that season. So from a PSG perspective, it was a really great game against the Champions League winners, only losing 1-0 on aggregate, and very unlucky second game at the Bernabeu. The next thing that happened between the two clubs was the transfer of Jesse Rodriguez from Real Madrid to Paris Saint-Germain for around 28 million, and what a flop he was. I mean, first season at PSG really did nothing, then was loaned out to Stoke City in the Premier League, and later was loaned out to Las Palmas in La Liga, and his contract ended last season, him going out from Paris Saint-Germain. So it was a really bad transfer for PSG. Real Madrid, of course, got a lot of money from a sub player, and they won in this case, in the Jesse Rodriguez transfer case. Next up, they played each other in the round of 16 in the Champions League. This was the first season for Neymar Jr. and Kylian Mbappe at the Parc des Princes at PSG, and a lot of people were hopeful and predicting that PSG might even take out Real Madrid, winners of last year's Champions League. The game was a very dramatic game. PSG taking the lead in the beginning of the game from Adrian Rabiot. Real Madrid getting their equalizer from Cristiano Ronaldo from the penalty spot. And then it was a very dull game. Nothing happened really much. Zidane made some incredible substitutions in Gareth Bale and Marco Asensio. And Marco Asensio assists Ronaldo for the second goal, and the goal that takes Real Madrid into a 2-1 lead against Paris Saint-Germain. And then he again assists Marcelo. 3-1 win to Real Madrid at the Bernabeu against Paris Saint-Germain. It was a really big mountain to climb for PSG to go through in the Champions League. Right before the game versus Real Madrid, Neymar gets injured in the Marseille game and misses the game due to injury. His first season as I said in Paris Saint-Germain colours. And PSG really did nothing in the game. This game was a lot of pressure on Real Madrid. PSG will try everything, but nothing happened. And Ronaldo scored in the second half from a beautiful header mistake from Dani Alves. Asensio, I believe, again puts in a beautiful cross, or it was Vasquez, I believe, to Cristiano Ronaldo at the back post, and he scores 1-0 Real Madrid. Then a hefty deflection, 1-1 Paris Saint-Germain. Cavani scores. Now PSG only need 2 goals to go through. Marco Verratti gets sent off and Casemiro scores from a deflection. 2-1 Real Madrid, 5-2 on aggregate. They go through, no problem, and win their 3rd successive Champions League that season. PSG going out to the round of 16 for the 2nd time in a row, previously going out to Barcelona in the remontada game. Next up, they met in the 2020 group stage, 2019 group stage of the UEFA Champions League. And what game this was. Neymar, Cavani and Mbappe all missing this game due to injury and suspension. But the Parisians weren't afraid to go at this Real Madrid side, getting a quick lead from Angel Di Maria, him scoring again 2-0 from a beautiful long shot. Real Madrid thought that they were back in the game when Bale lobbed Keylor Navas, but the ball touched his hand before the goal was scored. Again, Real Madrid with a goal. Benzema scores, but again from an offside angle. And PSG went on to score a 3rd goal in the last minutes. Quick counter-attack. Thomas Meunier scores from the Bernat assist. Paris Saint-Germain 3-0 against Real Madrid, and what a win it was. A defensive masterclass. Idrissa Gueye was amazing that game. It was one of his first games in PSG, and us being able to win against Real Madrid 3-0. Yes, it wasn't the best Real Madrid, but 3-0 without our super attack showed that this team had the system, had the capabilities to overcome big clubs without big name players. Real Madrid weren't that good in that Champions League group stage, but it was still a good game coming up against Paris Saint-Germain. So the first game was won by Paris Saint-Germain 3-0, and Real Madrid wanted to show anything that they were still a great club. And they did. It was a really eventful game. Benzema giving Real Madrid the lead early on in the first half. Second half begins. Again, Benzema scores for Real Madrid 2-0. And it was very late, and I was trying to be optimistic, but it wasn't the worst thing to lose at the Bernabeu against Real Madrid. We would still finish top of the group if we just had won against the 2 other clubs. But PSG had other things in hand. Kylian Mbappe scoring from a Varane-Courtois mistake, 2-1. And then Neymar dips through, gives a pass, Draxler jumps over it. Sarabia puts it in the top corner. 2-2, game ends, and it was a really fighting point, and it showed that PSG, even though this game didn't really mean that much to them, they still didn't want to lose and drop points, and didn't want to look vulnerable to other teams in Europe, and they really showed that. This game has also to be mentioned, the Keylor Navas game, where he I believe, a record 11 saves against Real Madrid. So he really saved us that game, but we still got the 2-2 draw. Next up between the two clubs is the transfer of Sergio Ramos this summer to PSG. Him and Real Madrid couldn't come to agreement on a contract extension, so he decided to leave, and Paris Saint-Germain was the only club he really wanted to leave for. So far, his tenure at Paris Saint-Germain hasn't been the best. He has been injured for most of the season so far, but has played 3 games yet and has gotten a red card. So, very eventful debut start for Sergio Ramos in PSG, but we will hope the best from him later on this season. And the last thing between the two clubs is the transfer of Kylian Mbappe to Real Madrid. I mean, it's pretty inevitable that he will move to Real Madrid this summer, but he stayed at Paris Saint-Germain even though Real Madrid offered 220 million for the PSG superstar. Nasser, as you all know, declined the offer to keep Mbappe, and at the end of the season we will really see how smart or how dumb that decision was. Because if we go on to win the Champions League, it's a dub. If we go out early, it's a L. If Mbappe somehow signs a contract, it's a super huge dub. The most important thing is to progress in the Champions League. And now that we have come up against Real Madrid in the knockout stages, it's a very beautiful thing if we can go through against them, because that will show Mbappe maybe PSG is a better club to stay at, and a dub for Nasser against Florentino Perez. But other than that, these are the remaining players that have played between the two clubs. The big 3 players at least. So we have David Beckham, Lassana Diarra, and Claude Makelele. All 3 of them playing in their last seasons at Paris Saint-Germain before retiring and being in their prime at Real Madrid. It really showed something, but we need to move on from that. At least, so in February we'll play Real Madrid. This will be a huge game between both clubs, and we will want a Paris Saint-Germain victory. Other than that, make sure to like, subscribe, and have a nice day. Peace.